my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation. No breathing. Don't give a if I got my arm bleeding. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd watch a Netflix movie from their Netflix top 10 list, and then we talk about it, and we bring the recording to you, our adoring public, and we must be doing something right because our numbers keep soaring up. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. Yes, we had another top, our highest week of downloads ever at, like, what was it, 189?
Yeah, something like 189, 186, something in there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
We had just topped 100 a couple weeks ago, and now we blew that away with 186 or 189. Well, we'll take it.
Yeah.
We like listeners. The kids movie reviews seem to be the driving force here, so maybe we should watch some more kids movies.
Well,
Although,
we should get on Netflix to make that happen for us.
Yeah, true. I think we enjoy those less than our listeners do for some reason. But anywho, so today we are not reviewing a kids movie.
Not at all.
We're reviewing a movie called Malcom and Marie. This just came out. It's a Netflix movie, and it has two people in it.
Yep.
Those two people are John David Washington, who is
Son of Denzel.
Denzel's son, and Zendaya, who only has one name.
Yeah, I don't get the. Do you know any backstory on her? I don't get the one name thing. Is that? I don't know. I just don't know anything about it.
I don't know why she only has one name.
Okay. Is it? I'm gonna look into this, Matt. If it's a stage name that she just chose, or if it's like her actual name, she really only has one name, or maybe she has a full name and she's just like, I'm not letting anyone know my full name.
Yeah. My guess is it's a stage name. I do know that it means to give thanks in the language of Shona.
Okay.
So, but that's about all I can tell you with 10 seconds of leeway.
Well, hopefully I have a follow-up next time we record.
Yeah.
I suppose I could look right now while you're talking, but that's too much.
Oh, I got it.
Oh. Or you could look up while I was talking.
Wikipedia has told me that her actual name is Zendaya Marie Stromer Coleman.
Oh. Not only does she have more than one name, she has 4 names.
She has 4. So, well, glad we could shed some light on Zendaya and her stage name versus real name.
Sure.
1-to-4 ratio, if you will.
Yeah, obviously she's listening, and she cares about what we think, so.
I'm sure. Thank you, Zendaya, for your fandom of the podcast and your undying devotion to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, with only 2 people in it, they're both pretty famous people, I think. And the writer and director is Sam Levinson, who I feel like is a pretty famous person as well.
Sure.
Yeah. So what's the movie about? Well, it's a pretty simple plot. The characters, Malcom and Marie, who don't have last names in this. Malcom is a filmmaker, and Marie is his girlfriend, partner, something.
Who I believe she's a model / actress.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get home after a film premiere of his. Maybe his first film premiere. I'm not sure. No, it can't be his
first one that is his film. Like, I think it's the first time he... Like, it's his written script and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Gotcha.
it truly is his film.
Gotcha. Well, So yeah, so his film has a premiere. They're coming home late at night after dressing all fancy for the film premiere and all that stuff, and they talk a little bit about that, and then they spend the rest of the time kind of fighting on and off for like an entire night.
Yes.
And that's really what happens in the movie is they fight for the whole time. Well, not the whole time. There are like brief moments where they're not fighting and instead are kissing or other things.
Yeah, I think there's also only maybe only one or two times where there's a passage of time. We don't know how much time has passed. Presumably not a lot.
Right.
But like because of the way it's filmed, there's a lot of times where everything seems so back to back to back, and then there's like at least one time that I can think of, maybe there's two, where there's a marked passage of time of some
Right.
sort.
Yeah. Not a lot though. It's almost like playing into this one shot thing. Although it's clearly not one shot. There are definitely
Right.
cuts. But
Yeah,
there's
the passage
the
of
scenes
time
are
would be
long.
like, yeah, one point she's taking a bath, and then he walks out of the bathroom, and the next time we see her, she's dressed coming out, and he's out on the porch. So it's like
Right.
a little bit of time has passed, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a small cast and we got a pretty simple plot. So that gets us right to the meat of the matter, Todd. What did you think of this movie?
Well, so this is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best, I think, acted movies. It's a simple movie, but the acting is so stellar to me. Like I'm before this movie, I was not a fan of Zendaya, if that is how you pronounce it. And I had only seen John David Washington. That's his name, right?
Uh,
John
yes.
Thomas Washington. John
No,
David.
it's David.
Okay. I've only seen him in Tenet. Like I haven't seen anything else. I don't think that I can notably mark him in. So, and I only know Zendaya from the Spider-Man movies, and then I guess she was in The Greatest Showman, but I still haven't watched that, and I probably won't watch it. So, I just off of like people being in this movie, I was like, oh, I don't really care. But this is where Netflix posed us to go, so that's where I'm going. And I thought it was definitely one of the strongest acted movies maybe I've ever seen. Like I can't say that 100%. Like I'll have to mow it over a little bit more, but I just thought the acting was really, really good, really strong. But I guess it would have to be for a movie where it's just about two people fighting, making up, fighting again, making up, and then fighting again. Like, and I think in that aspect is why on a whole I didn't really care about this movie. It there's nothing to me, there's nothing gripping about this movie. Like I don't care about honestly rich people fighting. And that's, what it was. Two well-off people, they might not be super rich, just fighting in a luxurious house. And each fight scene, each argument scene is about one person one up in the other until we get to the next argument scene. And then it's like the other person one ups that person. And it's like, I guess it captures the essence of I don't know, I mean, an emotionally abusive relationship, I guess. Like I would argue that both sides of that relationship can be pretty emotionally abusive. We're not really shown that it's physically abusive, like even though people get angry or anything like that. But I don't know. Like I really had a hard time caring, and therein lies the problem with this movie is that it's so well acted, but at the end of the day, when I finished watching, I was like, I like I couldn't get invested in any of these characters because of how nasty they are. They're both kind of, in my opinion, bad people who are bad to each other and maybe bad for each other. And I just spent 2 hours watching them fight, make up, fight, make up, fight. Like, and I just didn't care. Like, I just, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. Like, halfway through the movie, I was like, this seems like I've been watching the same thing for like over an hour, and I was pretty much right. And then it's the same thing until the end of the movie. So, I don't know. I think on a whole, I'm not the biggest fan of this movie. The acting and, I mean, I guess the cinematography is pretty good. There's some interesting shots in this movie, but it's all just a house. Like, and different rooms in the house. Ooh, we're in the kitchen fighting, and ooh, we're in the bathroom fighting, and ooh, we're outside on the porch arguing, and I don't know. It would, I don't know if I can honestly recommend this movie unless you're like a true film person and you just want to, you love to watch movies, then I'm like, okay, watch this one, whatever. But outside of the good acting, I'm like, it didn't have an engaging story to me. It had a pretty stupid story. I mean, I have no doubt that this kind of stuff happens all the time, maybe for Hollywood stuff, but I don't know. I also felt for me at times the writing of this movie is very pretentious. Like, and maybe it's supposed to, but the male character, Malcolm, is a very pretentious person when he talks. Like, he uses very big words sometimes, and he just sounds so pretentious. But I think that feeds the character that they're going. I don't know. I have a hard time reviewing this movie because there's no one to really like in this movie. I thought, like, they both seem like they're not great people, and you're caught up in their, I don't know, torrid fighting love affair. And for me, I lost interest very quick, and it was hard to regain it. So I guess I'm just going to stop there because otherwise I'm going to keep going around in circles, much like Malcom Marie did in this movie. So I will pass it off to you, Matt. How did you feel about this movie?
Well, I'll tell you that in a second, but I had two things that I thought of, slash looked up while you were
Okay.
talking. One is that you should see The Greatest Showman. It's a good movie.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been so kind to musicals. So
Well, I haven't been that kind to musicals either, but this is a good musical.
all right.
So,
That coming from a guy who I don't give a crap about Hamilton. So maybe that will probably make some of our listeners mad, but people hyped it up so much and I finally watched it and I was like, who cares?
well, I will say it's more interesting than Hamilton.
Okay.
I liked Hamilton, but Hamilton is a bit drier than The Greatest Showman.
Okay.
Um, the other thing is, I was looking up John David Washington to see what else he's been in. He was in Black Klansman, a movie that I did see and enjoy.
I did not see that, but now that you say it, I remember him from the previews for it.
Yeah,
And I did want to see it, I just never got around to it.
yeah, it was nominated for a Best Picture some year, whatever year.
Yes.
So that was part of me and my wife's annual tradition of watching all the nominees, which I don't know what's going on this year. I haven't heard any nominees. Are they not doing the Academy Awards? I don't know.
I don't know. Something else to look up and report back to our loyal listeners.
Because now would be the time that we'd be leading up to the Academy Awards show. Actually,
Interesting.
but
I mean, they've had other award shows. They just don't have, like, they have some of the musical guests, like only one or two in person. The rest are pre-recorded stuff. So I would imagine the Academy Awards wouldn't be any different.
right, but also not a lot of movies were released in 2020.
Oh, that's fair, I guess.
So they might be saying, let's just wait a year or skip this year or something. I don't know.
Dumb. you got to choose what movies did actually come out. Now we're talking all the movies that like were who cares movies that the studios still put in. Like, oh, that'd be great. I would be such a fan of that.
Sticking it to the man, breaking the
Yeah.
system down. Yeah,
So.
awesome.
Also, a ton of movies got released on Netflix and Hulu and Prime. It's like they should still be under consideration.
Yeah, that's true. True story.
Anyway, totally sidetracked, Matt. So,
Yeah, that's okay.
what did you think?
Malcolm and Marie. So this movie, I'm going to agree with you on the acting. The acting was good. We assume that John David Washington and Zendaya are not actually like the characters in this movie.
I would hope not, but
Right.
I don't know them personally, so.
And that's the caveat that we have to give here is that we assume it's good acting because we don't think they're like that. They could
Oh, I
just
see.
be like
I
that.
see what you're saying.
And it could just
That's
come
true.
naturally to them.
I guess I should specify that when I say good acting, some of the scenes I compared to A Marriage Story, which is now my new benchmark for really good acting for some reason, of really long scenes at times instead of fast cuts, and you really gotta you gotta keep going, and you gotta remember your lines, and you gotta be delivering, and there's like a lot of like on the spot crying that happens. Maybe that's an easy thing to do, but I certainly I can't do it. So
Right.
not just
Well,
like the characters and how they act. There's some strong, but yeah, point still stands. I don't know these people, so maybe they're just playing themselves in this movie,
Right.
which would make me sad.
Yes. But yeah, I think that the acting was actually good. They did a good job of building the drama between them and the emotion, pulling the emotion out of these just horrific fights, devastating personal attacks between the two characters.
Yeah,
Which leads me into what you said, which is the characters are very unlikable.
yeah,
They're very entitled and basically treat each other like trash
yeah,
at different points, and that seems to be a dynamic of their relationship, is that they do this type of thing
yeah.
a lot, and that's kind of part of, like, they like it.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like that's a big part of this movie, and I mean, like maybe they're touching on something that's a reality. Like I don't know, but that something that definitely struck out to me was that when it's all said and done, they're definitely like the things that they've said. In my opinion, I'm like, how do you come back from that? But there's several times in the movie where like a review for his movie comes out and everything stops and they both concentrate on the review and they're joking and they're loving and stuff like that while just the meanest things in the world have been said to each other.
Right.
It's just I don't know if that kind of relationship exists. Maybe it does, but it's so foreign to me that I can't relate to it at all.
Yeah.
And I think that might be my biggest problem with this movie. There's nothing to relate to.
Right.
You don't get personally invested in this movie, period.
Yeah, I think while the acting's good, the characters suck, and the story, you're right, the story is dumb.
Yeah.
And maybe we're getting into a little bit of depth of understanding what the attempt was here. And maybe the attempt is to give this sort of master class in what is an abusive, emotionally abusive, and dysfunctional relationship really look like.
Sure.
And if that's the intent, hey, you did it, good job. But I didn't like watching it.
Sure.
I didn't.
It's
like,
all that also to me feels like a cop out because if you're gonna make a movie like that to really show an abusive relationship, like to me you have to make the character's somewhat relatable, and because they're basically a famous director and a model slash actress, I can't relate to their everyday struggles. Like I can't put myself in their shoes because I have no idea what that life is like, and the fact that the whole movie is filmed in this super nice Malibu beach house or whatever, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Well, that's basically what I have to say. I will say I don't recommend the movie, and
Yeah,
you. The reason to watch it is if you're a big fan of the acting of either of the two stars.
sure.
You could watch it and enjoy how they bring the characters to life, but I wouldn't say that you. I wouldn't say go into it looking for a great story or, yeah, be
Yeah,
disappointed. So, so that's where I'll leave it. Don't watch the movie.
fair. It's a fair thing. It's like, um, there's been just a stream of movies I feel like in the last couple of years that really have shown a light on how life is nowadays. Like I feel like every generation has a couple of those movies that really show what things are like for people and stuff like that. And I feel like maybe like I almost feel like maybe that was one of the points of this movie, but I don't know. Like I can't. It's not, because we're talking about two wealthy people in a beach house fighting. I'm like, yeah, sure. Wealthy people have fights too. They're in abusive relationships too, or something like that. But not like the other 95% of America, or the other 98% of the world, or whatever. That we're like, I can't relate to that. Like,
Yeah.
so, yeah. I'm getting all stirred up while we talk about it, of how frustrated I was with this movie. I didn't even know how frustrated I was until we started talking about it.
Well, that's one big reason we do the podcast, to find out how frustrated Todd was watching the movie.
True, true. Apparently I was very frustrated, but I was just holding it all in.
Let it out, Todd. Let it out.
Yeah. All right, how many... this is a hard one because there's really not a whole lot in this movie. How many...
Nail clippers.
yeah, there's some nail clippers, there's some... Oh, how many unnecessary peeing scenes would you give this movie? Out of 0 to 5. There's at least 2 that I can remember. Well, and I feel this way for any movie. I'm just not harping on this movie. Is that I never have to follow a character into the bathroom to see them pee. I have an imagination. I can understand how that goes. I don't need to do it. Like, it's just always so useless to me when they put it in movies.
Yep. Agree. Well, I'm going to give this a 2.3 bathroom peeing scenes out of 5. 5 being the best.
Yeah.
The only reason it's getting that high of a 2.3 is because I think the acting was very good.
True.
The rest of it was pretty garbage in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a hard one because I want to reward the acting so much because I thought it was good. Unless these people truly are trash, then they're just playing themselves, I guess. But
We'll
it's
assume
like,
they're not.
yeah, everything else is just like so pretentious and bad to me that I just didn't enjoy it. Like, so I'm gonna err. Typically, I like to err on the I want to reward the good more than I want to penalize the bad. But I think I'm gonna be a little reverse this time. I think I'm at like a 1.2
Okay.
because of just how unrelatable this movie is, how crappy everyone is. I even feel like while the writing has like good scenes, it's not stellar. Like, it's not, for a movie that relies so much on the writing and the story and the writing, the story especially is dumb, but the writing is like okay. Like, so I can't, like, the only thing I can really reward is the acting.
Right.
Plus, it's in black and white, and I just hate movies in black and white that are in black and white for no reason. For no given reason. It made sense when something like The Artist was in black and white, because we're like doing old timey films like that. Like at the time, there was like a silent movie star and stuff like that. But I don't know. The more I talk about this movie, the more I get frustrated. Like the more I'm like fighting off frustration. So
Yeah.
I'm at a 1.2. 1.2 for me.
Okay. Well, that means we're gonna land at 1.7. I believe is the average of the two.
Okay.
Bathroom peeing scenes out of 5.
Unnecessary bathroom peeing scenes.
Unnecessary. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's not very good.
No. And honestly, neither of us are really at a point where we want to recommend the movie to anyone, which is typically surprising. Even if we we typically always would be like, "Yeah, you got a free Saturday night, whatever. Go ahead and watch
Right.
this movie." But not this time. Sorry, Malcolm and Marie. You don't get the recommendation.
Yeah. Well,
I see you got a remote in your hand. You booting up the old Netflix?
I got the Netflix here.
There was a movie that was the top movie either yesterday or the day before that I was like, oh, I hope to God by the time we record this, that this is not the movie we have to watch.
Well, I have some bad news for you, Todd, because I think it is the movie we're gonna have to watch.
Oh boy.
This movie is a teen movie. It's called "To All the Boys, Always and Forever."
My frustration is not that it's a teen movie, because we've been down this road before for kids or like whatever. My problem is that this was a show, and then now the movie's coming out, and there may have been another movie in between the show and this movie. So I feel like we're going to be so lost. But whatever. We've set our system up, and
I'll tell you that there not only was it, I don't know if it was a show. I assume it was. It was also books.
okay.
And this is not just the second movie. This is the third movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
So we're going to be super lost.
we're gonna be super lost because I think
All right.
it's the same actors and the same characters
I think it is too.
throughout. The first movie is called "To All the Boys I've Loved Before."
Okay.
The second one is called "To All the Boys, P.S. I Still Love You," which, by the way, was number 9 in movies today. and number 1 in movies today, "To All the Boys, Always and Forever," which just came out.
Okay. Well,
So,
guess we're doing it. Why
we're
not?
doing it.
Gotta live a little, I guess.
Yep. So,
That's amazing.
yeah. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we reviewed Malcom and Marie and didn't like it. And we will be back with another episode where we review To All the Boys, Always and Forever next time. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We'll keep making these.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.